This type of Yerushalmi Yoma in the article Ozba edition on Daf Yud Amrav, the second line down, Amrav Elazar Shimon, which in the Vilna is on Daf Zayin and Beis. If you look, start counting up from before the beginning of Allah Vav, it is 3, 6, 9 lines up from 9 lines up from there. The line begins with the Rashi Tevis Amrav Elazar Rabbi Shimon. Okay, so yesterday we said that there's a Chiyuv Misa if you don't put Male Oshon in the Ketores. So any one of the ceremony, Yerushalmi Misa. And we said there's an Onesh, Mus infers that there's Misa Yerushalayim, and there's also a Torah, Kivanon Yirel Kaporis. So Elazar Bishim wants to know, okay, is this why Nadav and Avihu died? Because they didn't bring in a proper Ketores. The Ketores they brought in was improperly formulated. We say that the punishment and the warning were stated before Misas Bnei Aaron, and that's why Nadav and Avihu died. So Tamulam Achrei Moshe Bnei Aaron. No, because the pasuk is stated in Achrei Mos, and that's after the death of Shnei Bnei Aaron. Okay, fine. So the Gemara says, if that's the case, is that true that both the Onesh and the Azhara were also only stated after the death of Bnei Aaron? No. It says in that pasuk, it says the pasuk Kibanon Era El Kaporis. Era means future tense, right? So that means that it hadn't happened yet. And when this pasuk was stated, pasuk says in now that's a Parsha Achrei Mos, but it says Eroeh, and Eroeh is future tense, and it can't be that this pasuk, even though it's an Achrei Mos, is only stated after the death of Nadav and Avihu, not previously, because then it was already nearer. Right, because Baruch Kavioch was already seen when earlier. See, the Karmeya brings down the citation. El the mashmela sid amok shenemar mikra zadain lo nireh. Is that acham isas nemar rekfar nireh bo bayom? It says earlier, Shemar b'yitzuvi v'archus am v'yitzuvi v'archus am v'yirak v'ara Hashem kolam. So already stated previously. It must be Ein Mukta Mucha Batera, that even though the Azhar is written after in Parshat Achrei Mos, but it's really stated prior to Achrei Mos and prior to death of Nadav Avihu. Right, so he says again, okay, could it be Achrei Mos Shnei Me'aron Yochel Shnei Nemru Achar Mitzvah Shnei Me'aron Tamakim Menari Recha Paras. Okay, so Azhar Nemar Koidem Mitzvah Shnei Bnei Aaron v'Onesh. The punishment, so even though it's not according to Torah previously, it must be that Torah came prior to the death of Bnei Aaron. And more in fact comes to the conclusion, it doesn't say that I was seen in the cloud. I will be seen. From here we see Hakadosh Baruch Hu doesn't give an onesh unless there's Azhara. So therefore the Azhara was really, even though it's written in Torah and Achrei Mos, it really must have preceded the death of Nadav Avihu. So the Yerushalmi comes to the Maskana that the issue for which they died was because they didn't put a Mala Ashur in the Ketores, and it was Azhara, even though the onesh was not necessarily specified until after they died. The Azhara was specified previously, and that's why they died when they brought in an improperly formulated Ketores. The Bavli argues. The Bavli holds on account of this question that you need to have Azhara and Onesh, both Azhara and Onesh, not just Azhara. Have the Azhara and Onesh prior to the meeting out the punishment. So the Yerushalmi, the Bavli says they died because Shoraloch Mivnei Rabban. Not on this account. So Machlekes Bavli Yerushalmi. Again, so we have a basic principle here, which is according to Yerushalmi, it's enough to have Azhara. The Onesh could be elsewhere. According to Bavli, Azhara and Onesh have to both precede the sin in order for it to be punishable. And therefore, according to the Yerushalmi, they could have died, in fact, because they didn't put a Mala Ashin, they didn't formulate those properly. According to the Bavli, they died because of Horah Allah Bifnei Rabban. Okay, and of course there are other shittas as well. Halavav, Imay Chacham. If the Kohen Gadol was a Chacham, Dorish, he himself, he says this year, the night of the Yom Kippur, all night. I'll have those. That's why I try to do Shavuos night, just keep myself awake. Say Shir all night, or as much as possible. So, Chacham Dorish, Lav Not Milcham Dorish in front of. The Milcham Dorish in front of him. Im Ragel Kros, Kore. If he's accustomed to read, meaning he's able to read Tanakh, he can read. He reads. Be like in front of him, and if not, they read in front of him. They try and keep him awake. Mameh in front of him. What they used to read in front of him, exciting stuff. Biyov Ezra Divrei Yomim. This is Eov Ezra Divrei Yomim. Evidently, are considered to be the more exciting books in Tanakh. Chaim and Kvuto Parmim Harbe. Evidently, Chaim and Kvuto was serving the base of Mikdash many times. Karis in front of Daniel, in front of Daniel, which is also exciting stuff as well. Okay, Tani. Mishlei v'Tilim. It says they read Mishlei and Tehillim. Because their taste diminishes the sleep. So they, I wrote here, it's a cute shot. He says, he says that the trup for Eov, Mishlei, and Tehillim is different than the trup of the rest of the Sefer, of the rest of the Sefer Tanakh. They have their own trup. And I don't know if you even know it today anymore how it goes. And if you look at the notations, they're very different style in these Sfarim. So it could be that since it's so exotic, so that's what keeps the Kohen Gadol awake when they're reading in front of him in these Sfarim. So that's what it says Ta'amon. Ta'amon, their timing, the trup, is maybe because I don't see this shot anywhere else. Because the Stam shot is like Reb Chaim says here, Sheperushon, right? Their interpretation. But I think that it's the trup. Okay. Kahana showed Rav. Kahana asked Rav, Manite Kavuto. Manite Kavuto. What's his name? Is his name Kavutor or Kavuto? It says Chayabin Kvuto in our Mishnah with a lamed. What's his name? Is it with a lamed or with a resh? Vahav a kohen matzle. And Rav was in the middle of davening, so he couldn't respond. V'chavale bed's boy say, so he showed him with his finger. Tzfar. Now, a lot of people just ignore the word tzfar, because they don't know exactly what it means. They say, this type of kavutar. They made like a resh with the hand to show that it's kavutar. But Moshe says tzfar is a lashon of shout, which is a weird thing. That's what he says. It's a tzfar, it's a oak. They're more kavutar. But I think that it means tzfar it means a tzipor, a bird, right? So he showed him a bird. He said you could point a bird, and a bird, of course, ends with a resh. Could be tzfar also means morning, but I don't know. You point exactly to morning, like tzafra tova. But I think it means tzfar, a bird. So tzfar, he showed him a bird. So it says a bird ends with a resh, tzipor. So it's also the resh kvutar. So because the offer Yerushalmi asked, how could he answer middle of davening? I don't know if it's necessarily middle of Shemot. It could have been, but look at the Zimra. What's the big deal? But he says that he brings down the Tal Torah says that it was it's there as kavanah to be asked in the middle of davening and not be able to respond, so therefore he pointed. I just looked at the Shai Torah, so he changes Safar to Sefer. The same principles. It ends with a resh, right? So he changes Safar to Sefer, but I don't know. You have to change it. Just it's Tzipor, and then you don't have a problem. It says next Mishnah, the Kohen Gadol wants to fall asleep. In other words, they see about to doze off. So Pirchei Kuna, the young Kohanim, making in front of Etzbot Tzreida. They beat in front of him with Etzbot Tzreida. What that is, the Gemara is going to discuss. The Plei Kormei says Etzbot Smuchel HaGoido, the finger next to the thumb. Lashon Tzreida Tzora Sa. The Tzora Sa the Da. The Klamat Tzora Sa HaGoido Smuchel like a co-wife, the co-finger, the finger which is next to it. So the question what they did with this with the index finger. So the they say Ishi Kohen Gadol, my master Kohen Gadol, a mode of fake achas ritzvah, get up and cool down one of your feet on the floor because the floor was cold, and that will evidently wake you up. Mary bought a base Hamikdash and will probably give the Kohen Gadol caffeine pills. They didn't have it back then. Masikin also, and they keep him occupied until the time Shechita comes. Obviously, once he's active, it's much harder for him to fall asleep. Rav Chuna Amar ve'etzba tzreida bepeh. The etzba tzreida was put in the mouth somehow. With I guess some people give us a very strong whistle if they put their finger in the mouth. So that was they produced the sound that way. Etzba tzreida biyad. The etzba tzreida was they used in the finger. Either they snapped the finger or they went like this with the finger, same with their hand. So the Brisa argues on Rabbi Yochanan. Despite everything they talk about etzba tzreida, it says they used to use the etzba tzreida in their mouth and not on a musical instrument, not on a navel or chinor. So that's the case. In any event, it says befeh, right? It's not like biyad. So plus Allah. So how does he deal with this price? So he says nima nemeres bets, but tzreida there's a tune, a melody which they say with etzba tzreida, and that tune which accompanies the etzba tzreida, you say it with your mouth, and evidently there was like a cappella without instruments, but they did use their finger, they snapped their fingers. So in any event, whatever that's referred to, not necessarily referring to Yom Kippur, whenever they did this, so they did it, but they used the finger on the hand, and besides that, they used to use their they used to do this additional chant along at the same time. Okay, that's the next mission. Every day they used to do Chumas Lishka. They go to the ashes of the Mizbeach. When the Kriyas HaGever took place, so the Gever is either a human being who called out the time or a rooster when it crowed in the morning. Or adjacent to it, the front of Achra, slightly before, slightly after. Yom Kippur, they would start earlier, because Kohen Gadol used to do the whole thing himself. So therefore, he used to, I guess, start earlier and go slower. And in Regalim, when there are many people present, a lot of karbanos, they start already from like 10 p.m. from the end of the first Shmora in the nighttime. And the Kros HaGever, even before the Kros HaGever, so then the Azor was full of Am Yisrael. Now, there's a fascinating Shari Torah Yisrael on this, really fascinating. He says, here the Girsa is Lo Haisa Kros HaGever. In the Bavli, the Girsa, the Mishnah's Bavli says Vilo Haisa Kros HaGever. It says, what's Nafkina? According to the Bavli, Vilo Haisa, since it says above, it's going back on Regalim. And so it was full of Am Yisrael on a regular. According to Yerushalmi, without the Vav, Loi, so it's going back on Yom Kippur. It's not going what's immediately adjacent, beforehand, Regalim. So going back early in the Mishnah on Yom Kippur. So he says that he brings down the pipe in the piyut in Slichas from Musa Yom Kippur, Achapar Pnei Melech, I don't think we say it. It says there, B'chol Yom Kippur, Ba'od Yimonu Hashem, B'kros HaGever Nismalis Hazor Miyisrael. So he says how do we know how it's going? If it's going to Bavli, it's not going to Yom Kippur. It's going on the Regalim. Going to Yerushalmi, it's going on the Yom Kippur, and that's the source of Slicha. And then he says maybe this Slicha is from the Kalir, and because it's known that the Kalir based his Slichus on the Yerushalmi. Brings down to look in Teisel Chagiga, Tafiu Gimel and Rav Dibra Maschil, Verragle and the Shmuel Eleker Hashalom Milchus Milah Simon Zayin. Okay, and he says that the Mario and the Hilchos Yom Kippurim had difficulty reconciling this Slicha with the Bavli, but based on this principle that the Kalir comes from the Yerushalmi, so it works out well. So fascinating Shaitor so. Okay, so Amra says, Amra Mimana. Mana said, let me start by D-E low. Usually it says Da Ella, same principle. Yom Kippur Mishon that Yom Kippur should be from 10 p.m. Uvegolim mechatzos. Regolim, it should start from chatzos. Shelo le'avoli dei tzimon, so not to come to be thirsty. So there are many different interpretations. This Korban Eidah says that it says that they would stop working on the Evarim B'Tarim, which was still from the days before Erev Yom Kippur's Karbanos early, at the end of Hashemar Rishona. Why? Because otherwise, working at the heat of the Mizbeach, they'll be too thirsty. So for Yom Kippur, they would stop early. On Yom Tov, when you can drink, it's enough to stop working on Chatzos. The Bnei Moshe says, should be opposite. It says what it says in Mishnah, that in Shumas Dev Yom Kippur should be Yom Rishon. Right? Why? So he says that on Yontif, they wouldn't start at 10 p.m. They'd start later, so they shouldn't be thirsty, because on Yontif, they'll be too thirsty. There's no water. But so therefore, we don't want to be thirsty when they can't drink. But on Yom Kippur, we don't care. Yom Kippur, Yom Kippur, they can't drink anyway, so what difference does it make? So on Yontif, when we didn't make them get up so early, like 10 p.m. the night before, because then they'd be thirsty and we can't give them the drink. And we like to give them the drink. So if we wait till Chatzos, so they don't get too thirsty. But on Yom Kippur, they can't drink anyway, so therefore, let them start at 10 p.m. So it's almost the exact opposite of the Korban Eidah. The Radbaz says, Yom Kippur me'ashor Rishona v'gol mechatzos k'yirgol yavoi deitzem yashkim me'ashmor Rishona because she's akala mozon she'ochlumi erev. In Yom Kippur, on a rego where they could eat at night. So if they start from the Ashmar Rishona before their food is digested, which they ate at night, they're going to be thirsty. They ate before dark. And so the food is very digested when they come to the avodah, right? Especially Kohen Gadol, who didn't eat very much before Chashecha. So therefore, he can start earlier, because he's not going to get thirsty, because he's not still digesting the food. Well, lots of very different interpretations. Reb Chaim goes with the Korban Eidah. Okay, I bet you there are other ones as well. Okay, but okay. Anyway, so Amar Biachim said, "Chuma Sadeshan, Tchilas Avodah Shemachari." So the says Chuma Sadeshan is the beginning avodah of the next day, and so therefore it's like so you have to from the kior, so the which was lowered at night, so it's into the water in the ground, so it wouldn't become pasul. So evidently they would raise it in order to do Trumas Hadeshen, because the beginning of the next day is avodah, and they will lower again, so it didn't become pasul belina at Amud Shachar. So raise it, wash, lower it again. Okay, Hajla Perak Shivas Yomim, Halacha Aleph of the second parak. B'Yishayna Komishu writes a litrom as a mizbeach. So of course, not Yom Kippur when the Kohen Gadol will do it, but on a regular day, anyone who do the Trumas Hadeshen term can come do it. Bismanchu Merubin when there were a lot of people, a lot of Kohanim vying for the honor. Ratzim Balim Kebesh, they would run up the ramp. In this race, whoever came first, prior to his friend, the Toch Arba Amos, within 4 Amos to the top of his Bech. Zacha, he merited, he won the right to Jumas Deshin. In Mishtayim Shavim, if the two of them, it was a photo finish, if they finished simultaneously, I couldn't tell the difference. The person in charge says, modern Hebrew translate vote, but it means stick out a finger. Maimotim achas v'shtayim, whether they put out 1 or 2. Ve'emotim agura mikdash, they don't put out a thumb in the base of mikdash. Because if you can put out a thumb, so then as the Korban says, mivnei ramoim, because of the cheats. Sheyikrav meaning lechalos, when the Kohen go pick a random number and start counting fingers. And wherever he finished, that's where he would that person would be zeicha. But if you put a lot of it on a thumb, so the Kohen who saw the number was getting close to him, so therefore he would stick out his thumb at the last minute and pretend he was 2 separate Kohanim, I guess, somehow. So he won't understand, think that it's 2 different people. So therefore, you don't put a thumb. Mice show you Shnaim Shavim, once there were 2 who had a photo finish. For Ratzim Elim Kevesh, running up the ramp, the Dochav Echamem is Chaberim Nishpura Raglo. One of them pushed his friend and off the ramp, and his leg broke. When Basin saw this was dangerous, so he schemed. They made takana sheyu terminus bech el payis, that they didn't do this race anymore. They did a payis. This is a lottery, which they did earlier. Arba Petza, there are 4 lotteries in the base of Mikdash, and V'zeh Payas Rishon, and this is the first Payas of the day. And we're going to discuss the Payasos. Okay, the Gemara says, Ramana asks, but Lama Lo Kavu, it's interesting, last Gemara, I don't think they make it, but last Gemara, previous parak started on Ramana, and this one also Rabbi Mana. Ramana Boy, V'lama Lo Kavu Payas Chumas Adeshin. Why did they not make a pious prior to this? Why did they use the race before somebody broke a leg? That was in the lottery. Isramei. So come see. Shchita ksher bizarre. Shchita, which is kosher bizarre, right? Anybody do shchita? Ma yesh la pious, and we know there was a pious for who's going to shech the korban, right? So the Chumas Adeshin, Asur bizarre. Shumas is also bizarre. You're going to say there's no pais. Why should it not be pais? In other words, the people, it's much more chashuv. It's only open to Kohanim, so people are going to vie for it. So it's logical to, if they had pais for other things even earlier, so they should have pais Shumas Adeshin. Chazar Imanav came back and said, so the truth, I'll tell you why. Shchita ain't ksher elabir. Shchita is only kosher during the day, so therefore it was later. But Chumas Adeshin ksher kol hayom. Chumas is okay the entire night. We saw these start at 10 p.m. in the previous Mishnah. So I'm at the office. You're starting to make a lottery. Afu eno mashkin safek. So therefore, a person's not going to get up early and safek and say, okay, maybe I'll win the lottery. I guess people were more confident in their racing skills, because that's not just luck. So therefore, they made the race, so therefore people get up and say, okay, I'm quick, I'll make it to the top. But if it's just lottery, it's just random, so people are not getting up, they're not going to volunteer for this. Michael Mitzvah Kane, how you know the Chumas is kosher kol laila? It's kosher during the nighttime, even the entire night. Kol laila ve'rim. Mikam Chumas kosher kol laila. So the whole pasuk is long. Couple of psukim here. Tzavas Aaron Bez Manav Leimor Zos Fas Haloi Olam Mokdam Mizeh Kol Laila Al Mizbeh Boker Beisham Mizbeh Tuka Bov Lashkei Midabad Michtas Say Bari Bash Besoro Misadesh Chalish as Olam Mizbeh Samo Eitz Mizbeh. So the previous one pasuk says Kol Laila Al Boker, the next pasuk says Ve'Rima Kohen. So in the juxtaposition of those 2 psukim, we learn that Chumas Adeshin is kosher the entire night. Okay, that brings us well onto the Alpha and Alpha. So we'll stop here for today, of course.